Welcome back to everyone, and to another edition of Smackdown Out of 10. And of course it is a big episode of Smackdown this week because it is the go-home show before WrestleMania, so a lot going on. We have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Jordan Grace v Tiffany Stratton, and much more, including final words from Cody and Randy. And we open with a video package highlighting the history of WrestleMania. Orton and McAfee arrived backstage and Nick Aldis handed McAfee a contract of some kind while the Viper made his way to the ring. He took his time getting to the ring. He said he would be the first to admit he doesn't need McAfee, but he wants him in the corner because he's a straight shooter, reminding him who he is. When he mentioned Cody, the crowd let out some boos. He said all Rhodes has ever done in their friendship is take. He ended the promo without being interrupted or attacked. Nothing we haven't already heard, but it wasn't bad. It was a pretty standard segment. Designed to build to a match. Orton got in McAfee's truck and then drove away to end the segment, and yeah, seems like that's all we get from Randy for the night. Before the first match of the night was a huge 8-man street fight, but all 5 member entities were introduced by announcers, so it's obvious this one wasn't going to get with 8 men involved. Tana was showing clear signs of issues with Solo before the match. We're seeing some better and everyone started brawling. There were no tags and no rules, so it was all over the place. We're not going to beat around the bush with this one. A few overseas welcome a long time ago, and there's been a nice support for several weeks. If it's not the end of it, then it's because WWE doesn't know how to end the story. The match had a couple of memorable moments, but it was a mess on controlled chaos you would hope for in a bout like this. Sakara pinned Uncle Howdy to get the win and hopefully end this story once and for all. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. After a few video package and breaks, the police car was driven into the arena and Jacob Fatu emerged from the backstage, stood on top of the car, gave a promo directed at his WrestleMania opponent Drew McIntyre. He made it clear that he's changed a lot since his legal troubles and intends to put McIntyre in his past just like his criminal records. Pretty simple but effective. He didn't need 10 minutes or even a full 5. He said everything he needed to say and then it was over. It was refreshingly succinct, I've got to say. Before we moved on to Damien Priest and R-Truth defending their tag titles against Kofi and Grayson Waller, the Archer Anthony and Waller got the match going with a fast-paced exchange before Truth tagged in. He spent a long time on the defence while Waller and Kingston took turns beating him down. This didn't feel like a paint by numbers. It didn't have any botches and all moments that stood out or especially bad. All 4 men are great athletes, so even if they are doing something exciting, they always do look good. Priest got the pin for his team to retain the titles, and yeah, overall I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I mean, like, it was an okay match, but yeah, no real build up. After the commercial break, we then saw J. Cole flanked by Meechin and B-Fab. Before she could even say 2 words, Ria's music hit. She says she isn't a patient person and wants to take Jade out after everything she's done, but she's willing to wait for this weekend because she doesn't want Carl to have excuses if she loses. The exchange ended without any violence, which is a nice change for these two. They didn't do much to make their match more interesting, but they addressed it well enough for it to feel not like a waste of time. As we then moved on to Jordan Grace versus Tiffany Stratton. It was supposed to be Julia, but it was changed. Julia and Kiana watched from ringside. The 2 both faces squared up. Stratton had a slight power advantage, but not by much. Eventually the match progressed and Tiffy scored the win to earn a future title shot. I mean, like, yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was a decent match. Obviously it's a shame it couldn't really be built up to perfectly due to the other issues, because we know how talented both these women are. I mean, like, Grace, you know, she's really impressive, isn't she? But yeah, I think it's probably the right result for Tiffy to go over here and go back to that Julia feud. 6 out of 10. Trent Williams then came out to talk about Sami Zayn taking out Lil Yachty last week with a roller kick. It seemed like Zayn was going to come out to respond, but it was just someone in a gingerbread man costume. Zayn eventually did come out mocking Tricky. Said he has no idea where fans are being in, but the real fans stick with him. Even though the joke was about Zayn being a gingerbread man was fairly funny in the first place, the segment was decent because Zayn was selling the crowd's reaction perfectly. He sent Williams out the ring after a brief fight before setting his sights on the gingerbread man and hitting a lever kick that turned his head all the way round. Williams came back in and hit a trick shot to end the segment. They did their best to herd the material they were given, but it's hard for all of these feuds to keep finding ways to stretch the time before the pay-per-view. As we then moved on to Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss battling Bayley and Lara, or well, that's what it's supposed to be, but they got into a fight before the ref could call the bell. Then Nia and Lash came in to join the fray. In the end, there was no match. The champions took out both sets of challenges, and the segment was over in just a few minutes. The match might have helped the hype if it happened more, but there wasn't enough close to how physical these 6 women could have been together, so it kind of felt like a lazy in how it was booked and ultimately in how it was executed. As we then moved on to the Giant Battle Royal, the ring was full of superstars when we returned for a break. Royce Keys and Joe Hendry were the final 2 to head to the ring, and they were the only entrances we saw. Kit Wilson was the first man eliminated after being cursed. Nice spot. The match included stars from AAA like Psycho Clown and NXT stars like Shalala Hill, as well as main roster stars. A few members of the MST from putting double duty. It wasn't a high bar to clear, but this was easily the most entertaining thing on the show. We got some fun spots, entertaining eliminations, a few people haven't seen much screen time, recently got to perform, and it came down to Otis, Keys, and Tanaloa. But yeah, I mean, after eliminating Otis, Keys took out Tonga to win the match and the Andre Trophy. I only at 6 out of 10. I think this was the perfect result. Like I said, the Andre the Giant's always fun, and I think Royce Kings hopefully gives him a springboard to go on to do something great. So yeah, good stuff. The final segment was set aside for Cody Rhodes to talk about his upcoming match with Randy. The WWE champ seemed pumped up as he asked the crowd what they wanted to talk about. He said they are going to talk about the conspiracy theory that someone has been missing within at WrestleMania every year. He mentioned The Rock and Travis Scott as being part of the problem. Punk showed up, much to the surprise of Rhodes and everyone in the crowd who didn't expect to see him until Mania. Punk and Rhodes shared some cordial remarks about their history and talked about coming in a long way from Teddy Long's wedding to being the top 2 champs in WWE heading to Mania. Out of all the non-wrestling stuff on the show, this is easily the best. They're both good at controlling the crowd, and the history, it wasn't groundbreaking, but it's a decent way to end the episode. And yeah, overall, the final show before any pay-per-view has to make sure it hypes all of the big matches, but this wasn't sure what really happened on Smackdown. Fans are still paid to attend to a 3-hour TV taping, and all the fans had to sit through several segments. It felt repetitive and uninspired. Ever since Smackdown went to 3 hours, it's typically included 6-7 matches. This week's show only had 4. It would have been 5, but one never started. The Giant Battle Royal was the only show that brought some excitement, and the right man won. To be clear, the fault doesn't fall on the superstars. I just feel like, there's a lack of creativity from creative body. Even though none of the segments were too terrible, the show as a whole was mismanaged and ended up, getting a 4 out of 10 for me. Give us wrestling on a wrestling show, you know?
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.